Okay, welcome to Bass Case. I'm your host, Philippe Ba. Blues Heads for Bass Players, episode 004. Heads, melodies, tunes. It's the stuff that bookends the solos. It's the tune. It's the part everybody remembers. And so with Sat and Doll, your horn player, your keys player, your guitar player is going to play the head at the top of the tune. Dee, dee, ba, dee, doo, da, ba, doo, da, da, dee, ba, doo, doo, da, and etc. And we all have to know them. You know, when I think about my learning of heads, I knew them as far as I could sing the head, but as a bass player, I didn't think I was required to play them. You know, that was usually left to the horn players in my group, or if I was playing in a trio setting, the pianist would play the head. So initially I skipped over that. I just wanted to walk lines or, play lines under the soloist or under the head or take up my soloing. And then that ended when I went to the University of North Texas and into the improv classes and the bass lessons. And bass players were required to learn the heads just like everybody else and perform them without the sheet, which is something I'm going to talk about on a subsequent podcast, playing heads and playing lines without the sheet in front of you, absorbing them. But we were required to do all that. And in that time, I've learned a lot of heads, both blues and other tunes, and they're good to know. I mean, people get excited. Other musicians in your band get excited when they hear the bass player play the head. Audiences love it too. They're not used to it. It's a timbre most people aren't used to. You're used to hearing a saxophone or a trumpeter or a saxophone and a trumpet player playing in octaves playing the head, or you used to the keys player, the guitarist playing the head, but the bass player playing the head, playing that melody, playing that theme is unusual, but I've learned a lot of them and they're very handy to know. Another idea too is that, and I use this a lot, I've got a trio that I play with a lot, and the keys player and we double the head on Straight No Chaser. It's a blues and F, and I'll play the head, and then he comes in and we double it together, and it's just another way to break things up when you're in a trio setting. But more than that, and probably the more valuable part of that, is that jazz heads are loaded with solo language. You learn a few heads, and suddenly you're on your way to authentic soloing, and I'm talking more in jazz heads, but it goes for all genre. You learn a country melody. I can't think of how many times I played Faded Love, and you're on your way to understanding and playing the musical language that reflects country music. In this podcast, in this episode, I'm going to key in on a few heads here, and I chose these particular ones, number one, because they're blues heads, but moreover is that they fit on the bass nicely. I mean, when you think about most of the heads out there, a lot of them were written by horn players, and some of them fit on the bass nicely, and some of them you have to work at. And with all these, I'm going to play the head once without the backing track, and then play it again with the backing track so you can hear how the head fits against the changes. And as always, you can find these videos for these on my YouTube channel, and it's under a specific folder for bass case. So here's number one, and it's probably the simplest head out there. It's a Duke Ellington C-Jam Blues. It's just a couple of notes played in a very simple rhythm, but it's very effective. And I'm doing it over a blues in C. So you're going to hear it without the accompaniment and then hear it with it. So here's number one. Okay, here's number two. It's Now's the Time by Charlie Parker. It's not quite as simple as C-Jam, but it's a repeated figure. The last four bars are somewhat challenging, and in my video, I'll show you a workaround for that last phrase. And here it is. I'll play it straight, and it's a blues in F. Okay, here's number 3. It's Bag's Groove. And this is easy once you get the fingering, because the line, like a lot of blues lines, repeats itself through each line. So if you think about a blues, it's 12 bars. Each line is 4 bars each. So you'll hear that line do dee, 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 up. And then it goes to the second line and repeat do dee, 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 up. And then it goes to the third line with that same line, just like C Jam Blues did. So here's number 3, Bag's Groove. Okay, this next one, number 4, is Sonny Rollins' Blues 7. It's a little bit more angular, but it fits on the bass neck nicely, both electric and upright. It's a B-flat blues. Unlike Bag's Groove, every line is different, though. But like I said, it moves through the neck more, but it still fits on both electric and upright. So here's number 4. Okay, and here's the last one, number 5, Sunny Moon for Two, also by Sonny Rollins. This is another one where it repeats the line over the second and third lines. You use this one more in the middle of the neck, and you can keep it in the middle of the neck, or you can use both ends of the neck with it. So check it out here, Sunny Moon for Two. It's just a B-flat blues. Okay. Now, talking about that, and just let me kind of hit on this. Um, Sunny Moon for Two is originally recorded in B flat, and I like to move it around to F blues too. And that word transpose, I haven't used that in my podcast, but it's the idea of moving licks, head changes from one key or the other. So that's what we do here when we're transposing. Something else I want to mention is that when you're learning these heads on the bass, check out the recording that they came from. I'll have those loaded in too. This is a very good way to start learning the music. You know, a lot of times my players will just pick up the lead sheet and start hacking away at it without knowing what it really sounds like. And, you know, when I say check out, I'm talking about listening to the recording many, many times. So much so that you can sing the line with the recording. Now, when you can do that, the playing of the line, when you start practicing it, is going to be more effective. Now, you notice when I'm saying sing, I'm talking about singing lines, and it is a thing to do. You don't have to have a good singing voice, and in most cases, unless you're a teacher like myself, you won't have to sing those lines in front of people, but you will get used to doing that. It's something else that if you're an upright player, it's going to help your intonation. And more importantly, you're going to capture the phrasing and articulation that's involved with that style. And this goes for all genres, whatever that is you're trying to learn. Now, my next podcast, I'm going to focus on 5 blues solo ideas. They're just 4 measure lines that fit over each line of blues, but they're not so much heads. They're licks that sound authentically blues. This is Philippe Baugh with Bass Case. I'll talk to you soon.